Hello, glad to have you join us on another episode of Personality of the Week on your darling station NTA Channel 11. We're also on Star Times Channel 103. Personality of the Week is a news and current affairs program. Is a program where we showcase excellence, where we showcase personalities who are excelling in their various fields of human endeavor. And today, I have a very exceptional personality. He's a security expert, Mr. Justin Uga. Sir, we're glad to have you join us on the program today.
Thank you so much. I'm also glad to be here. My very pleasure. Always looking forward for this type of interaction because it benefits the entire citizen.
Exactly. So let's start by introduction. Can you give us a proper introduction of yourself?
Okay, my name is Justin Uga, a security expert, and have been around the industry for over 25 years, covering state security, diplomatic security, industrial security, or you like to call it corporate security. So I have a clear understanding of the global scene in terms of security with regards to Nigeria and the Africa around the Sahel region. So one person that I'm passionate about security, but I'm biased towards politics.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So security, they say, is everybody's business. And recently, the country has been, bedeviled by some security challenges. So considering the security challenges we are experiencing now, what would you say is the security threat right now that is happening in the country?
Security threats.
Yes, sir.
There are so many, particularly in Nigeria. We have so many multifaceted kind of threats. Now, in the northeast, we have the Boko Haram ASWAP with regards to terrorism and insurgency. Now, in the north central, we have kidnappings, we have banditry. I will be deviling the region. In the northwest, we have both kidnapping, we have banditry because of certain resources we have. Down the east, there are a lot of armed robbery, there are a lot of murderous actions you could always see all the time. If you look at the news, you don't need to read news for 3 minutes in your phone before you noticed another flash news called, you guys are always calling it breaking news. Breaking news. 10 people have been killed, maybe in Plateau, maybe 15 people. Just like on Tuesday, I was scrolling through the news on my phone and I learned that 15 cultists were killed by armed men, unknown gunmen, injured. They went to a particular location for initiation and they were invaded by unknown gunmen and all of them were slaughtered. This type of heartbreaking news goes on virtually in every aspect of every area, every region in Nigeria. So we have so many challenges in our hands that is a serious threat to security. And on daily basis, we have a lot of high hope on the governments, we have a lot of high hope on the states, and we are finding it very difficult to navigate as a state because when you are getting a lot of heat, maybe like 10, 15 hits at the same time, you wouldn't really know which one to address first to cut down the level of damage. So the security threat in Nigeria, in Africa, and globally is very high. It is terribly high. And we are losing lives and citizens, precious citizens, on daily basis. I would really advise that the state wake up to its direct responsibility because first of all, it's a constitutional responsibility of the state to protect every citizen. So we cannot push that aside. We must wake up. If we do not, what we are seeing is very heartbreaking. We must get out of it. And if we must, then
somebody must be accountable. That's right, sir. So how can the government, state and federal, and security personnel, how can they access and prioritize this risks, security risks?
Well, both the state, the local government, and the federal, they all are the direct owners or managers of the security architecture in Nigeria. Identifying this risk is very important. Why do I talk about identifying? And actually in our palace, in security palace, we call it crime mapping, threat mapping. Now, threat mapping has to do with ability to spot hotspots, note threat corridors, and as well act on intelligence to be able to cope those situations. Now, let me come back a bit. What do we mean by mapping or crime or threat mapping? Take, for example, Adminishu, I have mentioned the Northeast. It's a high risk, particularly Borno State. It's a high risk corridor for ISWAP and Boko Haram. And so we must begin to carry similar mapping in other regions. What is causing insecurity in Zamfara State, in Kebbi State, in Sokoto State is not the same thing that is causing insecurity in Borno State. Now, what is causing threats in North Central that is bringing about farmers, headers, and ethnic clashes is not the same thing applicable in the East. And so, if we begin to spot those areas, for example, part of the hotspot we notice in any region that have a land span of forest, any region that have high level of solid minerals. That is why Nasarawa State is also a targeted belt. Now, when we strategically map those areas, we now begin to analyze and put into specific action into various threats we have noted. Because security is local. Every criminal takes note of the environment before he goes into it. And so security solution revolves around what are the prevailing things and what are the prevailing solutions that can actually work there. If you have traveled to Borno, to the far north, you will notice that what they call forest in the far north is actually not forest. The word forest presupposes that there are a lot of trees, there are a lot of bushes.
Yes.
But what we call forest in Borno is average high grasses and trees that are stunted as a result of low rainfall and cover a large span of land that there are no person inhabited the area. But when you say forest in Cross River State, forest in River State, you can be sure of heavy duty trees. These are analysis we need to know. So I am of the opinion that having identified the various hotspots, we begin to train people who have local knowledge of the environment and worked on the template, because these criminals, we must say, did not fall from the moon. They are human beings and they live in the same community where every other person lives. And the best way is, after assessing it, in security we call it risk assessment, and deploying the system of threat mapping so that we can profile simple solution. But I can tell you, Blessing, that most of the time, the government actually have clear knowledge of the happenings. The will to act could be the bottleneck. And I will tell you one of the bottleneck. Take, for example, an incident take place and you call any of the security agents. When that is taking place, in the very action, within the period of the heat where people are being massacred, somebody out of response call the security agency. We have crisis here, and it will arrive 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours after the incident. Even if we didn't blame him or blame the agency for normally not acting in time, we could blame them for negligence. We could blame them for lack of accountability, because at the end of the day, we'll say we will investigate and go to the root of the matter, and then you will never hear the report again. Swift response, containment, de-escalation, and proper communication between the government and the citizen. By so doing, we'll be able to gradually nip these situations to the bud.
Glad to have you back. In case you are just joining us, this is your darling program personality of the week, and I have been speaking with our security expert, Mr. Justin Uga. Sir,
thank you. Glad to be back again.
Yes, sir. Considering the security challenges in the country, what security framework would you recommend and why?
Every state, every nation must have a security framework or policy on ground, which will always aim for proactive, predictive approach as against reactive approach. The ISO 27001 security global standard security policy emphasizes predictive, proactive approach to security to ensure that as much as possible we prevent lives from getting lost. And you can attest to it that on weekly, on daily basis, we keep losing lives that are which is not really necessary. Now, I am of the opinion that we take a predictive approach. Predictive because as a result of proper intelligence gathering, because what is happening most of the time is not just that we have security breaches, it's an intelligence failure because of man-made approach of intelligence failure or incidental. Now, if we are predictive in our approach, it means that our intelligence must work very well to be able to identify the threat early, process and analyze it, and take proper action to eliminate the threat before the threat become a danger, leading to loss of life or property. In this country, the last thing is what is always happening. We don't process our intelligence. I don't want to believe as an expert, because of my little knowledge, that we don't know. The state know. Somebody somewhere is aware that there is a terrorist corridor here and they are likely going to strike. Do you know that most of these guys uses smartphones? So sometimes even when they are carrying out some invasion, they put them on YouTube, they put them on. And for somebody to move from kilometer A to kilometer Z, what happened to that space? Is there no security agency? If there is no security personnel around the place, let's advance now. The other part of the world that are moving ahead, one way or the other, going ahead of the criminal, is because they have made up their mind to advance. They use technology. They could use drone to track, to make sure that this information get to the appropriate quarters as at when due and acted upon to prevent attacks. No matter whatever thing we are doing as a state, no matter what we are doing as a nation, and it does not end in protecting lives and property, we are still a failure. That is one aspect. The preventive approach has an economic ambience to it. Most of these criminals, let me say it, for example, 70% of the criminals are not originally criminals, but either hunger and lack of economic empowerment. They go into it. Yesterday I was listening to a PhD holder and academician in a university. He told me that where he is currently doing his sabbatical in one of the renowned universities in Nigeria. They have an inflow. People that were actually given admission this year are 126,000. The meaning is that in 4 years' time, they will be graduates. They will have job for them. That is one school. Now, my estimation from the few data that I try to gather here, that because I have a proposal for the government on school security, on institutional security, learning environment, we have nearly 5 million students graduating on a yearly basis. What job do we have for them? Now, there was a time we used to have like 10,000 people coming out of university or coming out of graduating from various institutions in this country. We were absorbing them to government parastatals and renowned companies. We did not keep our production lines open. We shut them down. We have no light. We have no good road. There are so many social security systems we don't have. People don't get employed, and so they go into problem. So once somebody call from somewhere and tell them we have XYZ, they will go in, they will make 2 million, 3 million as a source of livelihood. If you call some of them, those guys that sometimes they tell you, I have not done it, this is the first time, they may sincerely be telling you the truth. It's not that the law has no provision for ignorance. So I want to advise the government, let's up our game in employment generation. to take care of the economic related crime, because some crimes are as a result of bad economic system. That is just one or two. We may not have all the time to resource several other affairs.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, what is the role of intelligence gathering, and how can it help in curbing security challenges in the country?
Thank you so much. Again, security is all about intelligence gathering. Is knowledge base, proactive knowledge base, predictive knowledge base. See, in this country and all over the world, crimes are patterns, and we cannot eliminate crime completely. It is not possible. We can only reduce them. Minimize them. We can take them to a level. Even in Israel, 1 or 2 or 3, they still kill Israelis too. It is not the winner takes everything, but there must be casualty. But let it be summarized to the fact that there is just casualty, that the figure is minimal, not what we are saying that, for example, people are being kidnapped in Hong Kong. Excuse me, how did they move 100 students from a school? It's not what you put in a pocket and move. They are human beings. It's either that they are trekking a long distance, not running, or they use truck to move them. Are they not following roads? Even if it is forest, are they the only one that uses or passes those forests? Are there no persons that give them information about that school? Why is it difficult for us to identify those things? That's intelligence. We must begin to train people. I was in AIT the other day. I told them that in early 80s, there used to be a man that come around to my village. His own work, we didn't know then. We thought he's just a friend that come in the evening, play draft with my father, share some bottle of palm wine, and a few other persons, because my compound used to be a draft joint. My dad gathered a lot of people, they play draft in the evening after farm. He will come there, walk around the village, hovering around the village all the time. But he speaks our language. It was in early 90s, I realized that the man was a police detective, feeding the state with information. What happened to those people? If we are still having them, why are we not getting this information as at when due to enable us to prevent problems? Let's go back to the drawing board, apply detailed intelligence, analyze the intelligence gathered, all right? Ensure that they are applied as at when due. And let's stop creating bottlenecks. Information get to a commander, for example, that XYZ is about to take place in the next 2 or 3 hours somewhere. He's calling to get directive from probably a GOC or a most senior security official somewhere to get directive. Within that time lab, what if the man is in a meeting and he didn't go into the meeting with his cell phone? He will wait. For example, in the military, you don't release any ammunition until you are directed to. Sometimes even in the face of an enemy. You will only maybe take cover or try to make sure you are not being taken down. We must come to a point where we solve this intelligence problem. It plays a major role. It is, for me, is 99% of a successful security operation.
So you did speak about school security. So let's talk about abduction in schools. How can it be stopped? What's your advice?
School security and school adoption in Nigeria is a new normal, because you hardly have 2-3 months passed without you hearing that XYZ students have been carted away by insurgents and gunmen or terrorists. I wouldn't want us to begin to veer into that, because it's a subject of great concern. And I hope that maybe next time we'll be able to discuss more detail about it. It can be stopped. And I will leave you with just probably a statement or a question, if you anyhow you look at it. Do you know that in early 80s, the government come up with a policy on hard drug control? And so a security agency was floated called NDLA. In Nigeria, what is the percentage of drug addicts to the entire citizen? Do we have up to 5%? Okay, let's even say we have up to 5%. Did you know the percentage of students in primary school, nursery school, secondary, both senior and junior, colleges of education, polytechnics, university, private or public, and other specialized institution of learning. We are not talking about medical school like School of Nursing, Health Tech, and School of Agriculture, so many of those schools. If you put all of that huge youthful population together, we are talking of a whole generation of Nigerians. And we have not deemed it fit to promulgate a law or put up an act to establish a special security snipers who take care of our schools. Are you not looking at it? See, for me, agencies are established to meet problems, to solve problems, to ensure we are free from certain problems. We should think fast and do that as if we have done it yesterday. I'm currently working on a bill to probably send to the National Assembly, properly guided, to propose that we put up a special security agency who address our schools issue. If not that the national forest guards have been abused, and gradually eroded from the government agency, we could have not have where the Boko Haram or the security threat we are having are now going to hide in forests. We should do something about the school security. In fact, they are a vulnerable group. That's the most reason why we must act now. That's my take.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. It was wonderful talking to you. We must act now. Security is everybody's business. So before we go, sir, can you tell us your social media and how can you be contacted?
Yeah, the world and technology have made this more simple. You don't, those the 90s say, don't make the trip, just make the call. You can reach me via my social media handle on Facebook, Justin Oga, and on Instagram, same name, as well as on YouTube. You can watch some of my discussion on YouTube, and I will advise that you follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and we'll keep this interaction. This is the only way we can get the government and whoever is charged with the responsibility to protect us to work smarter and faster. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much. Please, let's do well and follow his social media handle so we can get more information on security. And on that note, we conclude today's episode of Personality of the Week. See you same time next week. I remain your host, Blessing Mfulani. Do stay tuned for the rest of our program.